What's up everybody, I'm Adam, you're watching the Model Aviator channel. Today we're checking out the latest release from E-flite, the Pilatus PC-21 1.3 meter, a very impressive model. Let's get into it. The PC-21 has a 52-inch or 1320 millimeter wingspan. It's 57 inches or 1448 millimeters long. Our example weighs 8 pounds, ready to fly with a recommended 6S 5000 battery pack. It is equipped with a 5065 470 kV brushless 14-pole motor, 7 14-gram sub-micro metal-geared servos, and is intended for 6S 4000 to 7000 milliamp packs. The PC-21 is a decent-sized model at 8 pounds and capable of more than 100 miles an hour in straight and level flight with the stock prop. This airplane is not something that's going to be well suited for a lot of parks and schoolyards, although I'm sure there are exceptions where it could be safely flown. You just need to be aware of the laws governing flying model airplanes wherever you live. Horizon Hobby sells this airplane as a plug-and-play or a bind-and-fly. With the plug-and-play, all the electronics are pre-installed for you, except for a receiver. You choose the radio protocol and install your receiver of choice yourself. With the bind-and-fly, which is what we are reviewing today, all the electronics are pre-installed for you, and that includes a Spectrum receiver that is Spectrum Protocol DSM-X and DSM-2 compatible. It is a 6-channel airplane out of the box with the possibility of a couple of more functions we'll talk about in just a second. You have elevator, rudder with a steerable nose wheel, ailerons, flaps, retractable gear, and of course throttle control. Of course, coming from E-flite and being a bind-and-fly, the PC-21 is going to have the modern array of electronic goodies. It's equipped with an Avian 100 amp brushless ESC and the Spectrum AR637TA receiver, so you'll have full range smart telemetry, everything you see here, so long as you have a relatively modern day Spectrum transmitter. You'll also be able to go into avian programming and program thrust reverse if you'd like, and that receiver is equipped with the STF file or smart transmitter file, which makes setting up your transmitter a cakewalk. We'll talk more about that when we get to the setup chapter. That receiver also has AS3X plus stabilization, which in my mind is the premier gyro stabilizer in the industry right now, as well as optional safe select self-leveling if you choose to program that and put it on a switch. The mold on the PC-21 is very nice. It's very dense foam with carbon fiber reinforcement throughout. So this airplane can handle rough landings. It can handle any amount of G-forces that you want to put on this airplane in flight, as well as the very high 100 mile an hour plus speeds that the airplane can fly at. And of course, it has a tremendous amount of scale detail. The landing gear is very scale. They are aluminum struts with spring-loaded suspension. You've got trailing link with scale gear doors in the back. You have more conventional up front with functioning nose gear doors. The flaps are very scale hinged, and they are the slotted flaps just like a full-scale PC-21. You got a very scale looking spinner and 5-bladed prop with lots of plastic on the airplane to add scale detail, things like exhaust stacks, fake antennas. You've got pilot figures with an instrument panel. You even have the ejection charge lines on the top of the canopy. You've got a full set of LED navigation, anti-collision, and landing lights, as well as decals in places that make certain scale details on the airplane pop. Things that you wouldn't notice otherwise if they didn't have decals there, so I'm really impressed with that. Worth noting, they've put plastic in strategic places to both protect and reinforce the airframe. The entire cowling from here forward is plastic. You've got plastic on the wingtips, on the tail skid underneath, and of course where key parts mount together. When it comes to the hinges, it's got an array of different things. Obviously, the flaps are scale pin hinges. The ailerons appear to be a pure foam hinge, while the elevator and rudder appear to be foam hinges reinforced with CA hinges. When it comes to the linkages, both the linkage for the flaps and the elevator are concealed, or in other words, scale. You can see the linkage on the ailerons and the rudder, and you've got ball links on both ends of those push rods. It is, of course, a convenient top loader with a cavernous battery bay with more than enough room for the recommended size packs and then some, and both the hatch as well as the fuselage is lined with plastic to keep that looking good. The assembly on the PC-21 couldn't be simpler. The manual does a great job of taking you through the steps of assembly. There's no glue required. I think a total of like 8 screws. Goes pretty quick. The PC-21's part count is relatively low. We started with the vertical stabilizer and rudder. The part has an automatic electronic servo connection, and of course there's a connection inside the fuselage. You bring that straight down into place, and then you'll use 4 self-tapping screws, 2 on either side, to secure it. And of course the push rod for the rudder is pre-installed for you. Next, we installed our horizontals. There are 2 carbon tubes, a long one and a short one. There's a tab on each horizontal half, and of course a slot for those tabs on either side of the fuselage. You put in your tubes, a long one to the rear. You'll slide one side into place, and you'll notice there's a slot on the fuselage where the elevator slides into. That's actually the hinge point and what manipulates the elevator. You slide that into place until you snap it in, and then of course you bring the other side into place, snap it into place, and you're good to go. Next, we installed our wings. There's a single carbon tube wing spar. There are automatic electronic connections on both the fuse and the wings. You just slide the wing panel into place. Worth noting, there are plastic reinforcement pieces in the center and towards the rear of each wing panel to make that easier for you. Once you get it into place, you'll notice 2 holes inside the fuselage. You'll use a machine screw on either one of those to secure each wing panel. Repeat for the other side. You're good to go. At this point, the only thing left to do is install your propeller and spinner. I would wait until you have the airplane fully set up before you do that, just for safety's sake. And you want to make sure that that propeller is balanced. It was balanced out of the box for me, but if it isn't for you, there are some spaces on the backside of the hub underneath each propeller blade where you can add weight in the form of glue or epoxy to get that propeller balanced. Also worth noting, the airplane comes with a 2-bladed spinner, so you can get yourself an APC 1212 electric prop and install that if you'd like. The setup chapter is coming up next. In that, we'll explain why a person might want to do that. When it comes to setup, the manual has all the pertinent information you'll need: CG, control throw, push rod placement, as well as step-by-step instructions on how to program your Spectrum DX, NX, or IX transmitter specifically for the PC-21. There's also instructions on how to use that smart transmitter file that we spoke about, and that really streamlines setting up your transmitter because it will literally upload the manual setup into your transmitter upon binding. And if you choose to do that, if you have a compatible Spectrum transmitter, they are listed here. It will program everything: voice prompts, rates, even the flaps are set up on flight modes, which I love, which means that you can fully trim the airplane on all 3 axes at every flap position: flaps up, takeoff flaps, and landing flaps. So the airplane will fly perfectly regardless of the flap position. Such a great feature. I hope E-flite keeps doing that. When it comes to that smart transmitter file, though, know that you're not stuck with those settings. If you want to go in there and adjust anything, once you've uploaded it into your transmitter, you can adjust anything just as if you had programmed the transmitter and make changes anytime you want. Also worth noting, you do not have to do a factory reset to make adjustments in AS3X Plus. You cannot get to every parameter in the advanced menu, but if you activate that advanced menu in forward programming, you can get to the meat and potatoes, things like rate gain, stick priority, stop lock rate, stop release rate. And that is enough for most people to tune the airplane the way they want if they don't like the stock AS3X Plus tune, which, by the way, has nothing to do with the smart transmitter file. That's a separate thing that you handle in forward programming, as well as activating Safe Select and programming that if you decide that you want to. When it comes to flying this airplane, we flew the airplane on Spectrum 5000, and Spectrum 6000 6S packs, as well as SMC 6000 6S packs. I actually prefer the 6000s. It's a very efficient, powerful airplane, crazy vertical, crazy speed with the stock prop. I got 8 to 10 minutes depending on which battery that I use, from taxi out to taxi in, flying the airplane scale and doing aerobatics the way that I like to fly. The reason someone might want to go with the 2-blade prop, it does, if you put that APC 1212, it will give you a bit more speed. Not earth-shattering, but a bit more. It's fast enough to me with the stock prop, but it gives you a lot more efficiency. If you really want a long flight time, or if you're somebody that likes to stay in the throttle a lot more, that may be the way to go, because the airplane will pull much less amps on the 2-blade prop versus the heavier 5-blade prop. So at this point, we're going to go straight into our full setup pages, our full setup, all the changes that we made to tune our plane the way we want it are there. You can pause that, check that out, and make those adjustments to your plane if you'd like to duplicate it. After that, our full demo flights, and then once that's done, we'll meet you back here. We'll give you our final thoughts on this awesome warbird. Being a tricycle gear warbird trainer, the PC-21 is definitely easier to handle on the ground than a tail dragger warbird. The PC-21 is very docile in slow flight and slows down well, but when you give it the beans, it is very fast. This one is very precise. It just tracks as if it's on rails. It reminds me of a pattern plane. There's quite a bit of side area, so this one can knife edge all day long. You can sustain one until you get bored with it. It has a very crisp roll rate and can sustain inverted flight easily at our balance point. It still requires a bit of down elevator, but not a ton, and there's plenty left over for other shenanigans if you want to do it. As you would expect, the vertical performance is outstanding. You could fly it out of sight vertically if you were so inclined. And if you want to tumble it, it will do that as well. I really enjoy flying warbirds, whether they're World War I, World War II, modern day. I like flying them scale. This one is point and shoot. It's so solid, it makes it easy. Here is a clean stall. Drops the left wing just a little bit, throws the nose down. Recovery is very easy. We're going to bring the gear and full flaps down, and you'll notice it won't even drop a wing here, just dips the nose forward a bit. And yes, all this performance is at our balance point, which is, to be fair, a good bit rear of what the manual calls for, but that's nothing to be alarmed at. Plane flies great there. It has a very wide CG range, so everyone will be able to dial it in and put it where they want it. And this, just for kicks, is a full dirty inverted pass. And right about here on this approach, you're going to see the screen jump a bit. Heidi is struggling with some gnats getting in her face while she's trying to film. I'm completely unaware of this. I am just thinking about remembering to use the thrust reverse on this landing. So it's not my best landing, but I remembered the thrust reverse. I wanted to show just how quickly you can get this airplane off the ground if you want to, and Heidi has still not let me in on the fact we have a signal. She holds her hand up to let me know if there's a problem. She still hasn't done that. She is such a trooper to struggle through this, so she's going to struggle through this landing and then let me know, and I'm going to taxi it back really quick. Thankfully, that was a much better landing. Here we're at a tighter venue with a shorter runway, and of course the PC-21 has no issues with these. This is the two-bladed prop. It is quiet, but it is quick. This, of course, is going to be a shorter demo flight. I'm not going to waste any time and show you just how fast this thing is and what kind of vertical it's got. Then we'll do some grass ops and see just how short we can land this thing. Keep in mind, with the two-bladed prop, we're pulling almost 40 amps less than the stock prop, so you can get some crazy long flight times with this. What's really nice about the two-bladed prop is you gain a bunch of efficiency, but you don't lose much performance at all. It's actually a little faster in a straight line and has almost as good a vertical. Personally, I'm going to stick with the stock prop. I like the scale nature of it. Just an awesome looking piece of kit to have on the front of this thing. And it's efficient enough for me. I can get 8 to 10 minutes with that and a 6000 flying the way I like to fly. So I'm happy with that. But if you want stupid long flight times, this is the prop for you. I just wanted to try a normal landing before I put it in the grass. I actually changed my elevator expo and raised it just a little bit before this flight. That is reflected on the setup page. I like the way the airplane flares and lands at that expo setting better than what I have it at. Not my best landing, yes, but to be fair, that grass at Fayette Flyers is pretty rough. We're going to do a full stop on the next one and then a takeoff. It seems pretty good out of grass to me. The next landing will be a full stop, and the end landing, I want to see how short I can bring this in, of course utilizing the reverse thrust. And for measurement's sake, just so you know, this is a 400-foot runway. The first turnoff, which I am actually going to make, is only about 100 feet. So I think it goes without saying that I'm very impressed with this model. And I'm going to go ahead and go right where everybody is going to want me to go. And I'm going to compare this to the Super Tucano. A lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. I love that airplane. No BSing. That is a solid, solid airplane, and I truly enjoy owning it and flying it. So let's just get that out of the way. But when it comes to this airplane flies like that. They both fly like a well-tuned pattern ship, which is just amazing. They groove through the air. This one is faster and has even more vertical than the Super Tucano, I think. If not more, it's definitely similar. Straight line speed, this is definitely faster. It is a bit more of a convenient size. The Super Tucano is a bit bigger than this, so I have to take it apart to transport it and store it. I leave this one exactly like you say, but it's certainly not small, given what it is. That's something that's interesting about the size of airplanes. If you get a model J3 Cub and a model Pitts Special, for instance, and they have the same exact wingspan, because the design of the airplane, the Pitts, is going to be huge compared to a J3 with the same wingspan. Given what this airplane is, the length of the fuse, it's still a very good sized plane, but I can just get it in my Explorer without having to take it apart, and I can store it exactly the way you see it on one of my racks. So I really like the convenience of it. It's a lot easier to get together, certainly a lot easier to set up. And to be fair, it's a modern day E-flite airplane. That Super Tucano was designed by Avios, and they did all right. But the fact is, the fit and finish of this is just certainly better than that, to be sure. So if I had to pick one or the other, I would pick this, and that's really saying something, because that Super Tucano is badass. But so is this, and that is the thing I love about this airplane. When it grooves through the air, I feel the way about this that I felt about the very first model P-51 that I saw going through the air at high speed. I thought, man, it's like that airplane's laying claim to this airspace, saying, this is mine, I'm dominating this, stay out of it. That's what this airplane looks like going through the air, and it is a kick in the pants to fly. When it comes to skill level, Horizon Hobby says skill level 3. They've changed their skill levels, so you may want to read those now. Each number means something a little bit different than it used to, so I agree with their modern day skill level 3. Some experience required. Certainly not going to be a good second airplane after a trainer. It's too fast. It's too big of a jump to go from a 2 or 3 pound trainer doing 50 to an 8 pound airplane doing triple digits. You're going to need something between that. If you have flown something between that, would it be a good warbird as a first warbird? Yes, for some people it would. I think it would. Just depends on the person. Skill level requirement is relative. If somebody's really confident, be a good first warbird. If they're not, you may want something a bit simpler, a bit slower, a little bit less aggressive first before you tackle something like the PC-21. When it comes to the price point, don't know what that's going to be yet, haven't been told. I'm just going on what Horizon Hobby's done lately. They're acutely aware of their competition and what they charge and what they offer, and they're aware of what they offer, and they have priced their new airplanes lately very fairly, I think, for what they are. I expect no different from the PC-21. We'll put links in the description where you can go check these out. If you decide you want to add one of these to your hangar, when you go through that link, it helps support our channel. When you do that, Heidi and I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. That's it for us. Take care of yourselves. Happy flying. Another winner from E-flite, and one of my new favorites. This thing is, I mean, it's badass. What else can I say? We'll see you next week with something cool with wings.